onto the good stuff. Jared, Ben, your favorite fake White House staffers. So we're super excited to introduce this next panel. It's really interesting that this is back-to-back from the panel that was in here earlier, the people who were the real people in the West Wing. We're about to see some people who portrayed characters who certainly felt very real to us, which is awesome.
Yes. So from the first swells of the opening music to the upbeat, playful notes of the closing credits.
No matter how dramatic the episode was, there's nothing quite like, that character's dead.
No matter what happened, you felt good when it was all over. I'm sure Zoe will be fine. The people on this next panel have brought us some of our favorite moments and Sorkin one-liners, and we're excited to hear their stories. So, without further ado, let's get to it by introducing your moderator for this panel. Please welcome Miss Claire Hanscombe.
Hi everyone, who else is super excited to be here? This is all very surreal. About 10 years ago, I put a random DVD in and started watching a show that ended up changing my life. And now here I am with actors from that show who I'm going to get to talk to. So thank you all for being here. And I'm going to get them to come on stage now with us. We have, I'm not sure which order they're going to come. With the voice of God, okay. Was that Aaron Sorkin calling in, maybe? No? So we have William Duffy, who played Larry. Devika Parikh, who played Bonnie. Webster, who played Ginger. Melissa Fitzgerald, who played Karl.
You be first. You're gonna go there. Never mind.
And Snuffy Walden, who composed almost all of them. I definitely showered this morning, guys. It would have been okay.
No, this is for Peter.
Yeah.
He couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Nobody brought a cutout to put there?
He is still alive, though.
He's still alive.
Okay, so there's a million things I could ask, but I'm going to start by asking you all to sum up your experience on the West Wing in just 3 words. I did give them a heads up. This is not as mean as it sounds.
Yeah, it is kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. For me, it's very simple.
See, he's going first so that he gets it,
I know.
and we can't if we take one of our words. Sneaky Duffy.
Best ensemble ever. Including others.
Feels like a cheat.
It is.
No, that was a good answer.
That was a really good answer. I'd say inspiring, proud building. I know that's not a word, but I'm creating one.
It worked.
Proud inducing. And I would say unforgettable. Unforgettable, hashtag life changing.
We didn't have hashtags back then.
Yeah.
Mine came pretty easy to me. It was dream come true.
Mine are excellence, service, family.
Yeah.
Okay, my experience is different than their experience, so my 3 words are Aaron Sorkin's brain.
All right, thank you.
Well done. Excellent.
There's more?
There's more.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
So you don't have to take turns with these next ones. Just jump in as and when you feel inspired. That's fine. Although this first one's a little tricky maybe, but did you know when you were filming The West Wing just how special it was, how special it would turn out to be, how much people would love it? And if so, when did you find that out, figure that out? Kim wants to speak.
Yes.
I'm going to say Kim's going to go first.
Buzz in. Yes, I knew right away on the pilot, April 1st, 1999. I knew that day.
I knew when I read the script and auditioned for it, and I said, wow, this is good. And I had to go back and reread it because it was so witty and quick. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really good. And then at the table read, we were sitting there, and John Spencer, you all know John Spencer.
No.
I know, we love John Spencer.
You know what? This isn't for Peter. This is for John Spencer.
And Peter. And everybody
Poor
else.
Peter.
Yeah, he was awesome. But I remember at the very first table reading, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, he's such an accomplished actor. And I remember, and I didn't want to act like I was really new, but I was pretty new to like 1 hour dramas because I had done nothing but sitcom up to that time. And I said, wow, and I was trying to be cool. I was like, this is really good writing. Trying to be cool. And he went, are you kidding? This is amazing. He's like, I picked up the script and I went like this, you too? Oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I was so glad he was so honest. He said, this is amazing. So yeah, I would say that was my first experience. I was like, the writing was off the chain, as you all know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go.
No, you go.
I'll go again.
Okay.
Maybe I should make you take
Well,
turns.
I remember it was a year before West Wing got made. My now ex-husband got a hold of both scripts for Sports Night and The West Wing, and he said Sports Night's going to happen first, and The West Wing will happen a year later. And he gave me both scripts because I'm an avid reader, and he said, I'd like your opinion on these scripts. So I went away, I read them, I came back, and he said, what do you think, what do you think? And I said, I think Sports Night's going to be the best show on TV.
Wow.
I think The West Wing is going to be the best show ever
Wow.
on TV.
Wow.
And I stand by it. And I wasn't always that ambitious about my career as an actor, but I remember saying, and I'm going to be part of it. I don't know how, but I'm going to be.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, crowd-pleasing answers there.
No, again, the pilot was definitely, having done the pilot, but I'd actually worked on Aaron's stuff before with A Few Good Men. And just reading not on the movie, on the play, but that's actually, I had met.
That's how we knew each other long before.
Long before The West Wing. I had knew her now ex-husband, and then we had met when we were doing the tour.
It's his official name.
It is. The name that should not be mentioned.
No, he's a great actor and
But
a wonderful
he
person.
Really is. But I mean, just doing the pilot and watching to see how it flew, looking at the actors that were in the pilot with us, doing the show, you knew it was going to be a big show. As big as it got, I don't think I knew at that time, but you knew from Aaron's writing it was going to go somewhere because A Few Good Men was such a success, American President was such a success, and then Sports Night was just a great show that nobody watched for some reason, and then you knew that this was going to be something. I know a lot of us watched it, but many people did not, and I watched it a lot. But you really did know from the pilot. It was one of those things that, especially the way Tommy Schlamme handled that opening scene, when you watched it, you said, this is going to go somewhere. And if everybody could just keep up with the quickness and pace of the dialogue, we were going to be on our way.
But they did everything right, like the way that they cast it. I think one of the words I used was excellence. I think that was clearly in every single department, every single person who was in place, from the biggest roles to the smallest roles. I don't know about you guys, but when I auditioned for big scenes. I had one line, but they wanted to make sure that every single person could handle the material, and every single department head was immensely talented. Every detail was taken care of. And I think just from even reading the script, an acting teacher once said, talent always tells in the end. It always tells. And I think from reading that script, I knew that it would be really hard for it not to go the way it went.
Yeah, I agree.
My experience there again was different than you all because I was already working with Aaron.
Right.
I worked with him on Sports Night, and he's told me, he said, we're going to do this little political drama, and we're going to do a guitar score. Would you be interested in doing it?
Wow.
And that's what I thought I was going to be doing when I signed on. And then they started putting John Williams up against the picture, and they really liked it. So I ended up having to learn how to work with an orchestra the summer between the first season of Sports Night and the first episode of West Wing. So it was pretty hectic for me. I knew when we were doing it, although I wasn't watching the show, I knew we were doing something really special and really magical. But I only knew that from the work and the people I was working with. I didn't get the experience you guys got to have of watching it and
But
living
that
for it
that
each
score, though,
Unbelievable.
just
Yeah.
changed life.
Snuffy, just so you know, yesterday during the opening ceremonies, everyone hummed the theme song, and it was pretty magical.
I
Can
don't
you all do it
believe-
again?
Yeah.
I don't believe you did it.
We're getting them, guys. We're getting him.
There's a choir in the
God.
Not on the bridge.
That was amazing. Wow.
That's impressive.
What? We should.
It kind of gives me chills.
I'm verklempt.
Soundtrack of your life. A long time ago, this thing
Yeah.
a soundtrack now of violence.
Oh,
All right.
I think of it always, and a lot of our days, my husband.
well, thank
Hear
you.
those symbols.
It's hard not to write good work with Aaron's words and these
Yeah.
kind of actors. It would be pretty shoddy of me if I didn't deliver, right?
Yeah. Well, you've delivered your whole career.
I think you're going to be okay.
What were you gonna say? Oh, she was gonna say something.
No, go ahead.
We'll have time.
Got a career going.
We'll have time for questions at the end, so don't feel like you have to, say too much now. 'Cause
I think whenever
hopefully-
we heard the theme song, every time we would
Yeah.
gather to watch it, or even just when I watch it now, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
something about the music, because the music just really goes with the
The majesty of
royalty.
it, yeah.
The swell is just, it just gets you.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
swell.
It's an emotional river for that.
Yeah,
whole-
I just totally teared up. So thanks. Crying in the first 2 minutes. Cool. That's cool.
That's it.
Okay, so we could sit here and talk about the theme for an hour, and I'm not being sarcastic. We actually could.
I'd do that.
Some people have written words. I don't know whether you've actually heard some of these, but people have written lyrics to that tune. Some people sing the names of the actors to it. So there's a whole subculture there. And we won't necessarily go there.
Well, didn't the Swingles do that? That group, the Swingles,
Yeah.
on the podcast?
Yeah.
Have you heard that version?
I heard the podcast when they played. I did a podcast with them. They played it on kazoo, which was pretty embarrassing.
But moving to a different question, it's. Is it okay?
Is it on now? No. No.
It's off.
I was going to ask each of you what your favorite West Wing episode is, but it seems like most of you haven't actually watched most of the show.
What show?
So I'm not going to ask you that question, but I am going to ask you if there's this particular scene or episode that you remember either scoring or filming that particularly sticks out in your mind, either because it was challenging or because it was fun or for whatever reason.
For me, it was Bartlett talking to God in the church.
Yeah.
It was. I had to score that, and I didn't know what to do. It was such a powerful scene, and
You faked it well.
yeah.
How did you? What?
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it. I mean, we didn't have any time, and you all understand. Everybody was waiting for pages down
Yeah.
the set for Aaron, and it was the same way for me. Sometimes I had 24, 36 hours
That's
from the
amazing.
spot session to delivery for me. So
Wow.
you're just going as fast as you can, and I just remember him crushing out the cigarette butt on the floor of the church, and that's kind of what I pivoted around.
Yeah.
And that was for me the arc of that scene.
Yeah.
That caused problems.
Yeah.
It
Oh
did.
yeah, nobody could film again in
Nope.
there,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, really?
Is that
I think that's still true.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, you know what? I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
So do I.
You left an expensive gift.
And scene.
My favorite scene is actually one that never made it to. It got cut. And I don't know. Well, there's two, and I don't know if I think they're in the same episode, and you guys know the episodes far better than I. But there was one time I was sitting at home, and Aaron gave me a call and said, "Do you play guitar?" And I said, "I play the acoustic guitar, not very well, but I play." And he goes, "Can you play American Pie?" And I said, "The whole thing?" And he goes, "No." And he's just the chorus. I'm like, "Yeah, I can get that. Good. Bring your guitar. You're going to play American Pie." When we were all sitting around waiting for the results to come through.
Wow.
It may have been election night. But I think we were all sitting in maybe CJ's office.
Yes.
And I was playing that. We were all singing "Bye Bye,"
Yes.
and it never made it because they couldn't afford the rights to that song at the time.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
that's where I was wearing Ed's tie and eating the poppycock, which
Yeah.
is not the popcorn, but
Right.
deal with it.
Right. But that was one of my favorite things to do because it's something I was like for the first time ever playing guitar in front of a lot of people, and it never happened. But I think I was also at one time in that scene rubbing Melissa's feet. We said, like, right, we've been here a lot, and she goes, "You can rub my feet." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
You remember that?
I don't know if that ever made it either, but
remember it.
Yeah.
I think I was joking. Was I joking and then you just did it for real?
I did it, so whether you're joking or not, I know. But those are probably my favorite scenes, and I don't think they ever made it to the show. But I just, it's so much fun playing guitar on, you want?
Oh, I think it works now.
It's
It didn't fall. You know, it didn't
But
fall
that's
in.
also right,
Thank you so
Duffy,
much.
because we were making a joke saying that maybe our characters were having an affair.
That's it.
And that's what Peter wanted with me wearing his tie. I was like, "No, you're not my type." I want Sam. Kidding.
It was like, so did everybody else.
But speaking of that, I think my two favorite scenes are "I'm Hoping It's Porn" with Sam Seaborn because of the Rob Lowe joke, and that was. And my dad's a Catholic deacon, and for me to say the P word on TV was kind of a big deal. And the other one would definitely be like Richard Schiff hugging me in that scene. I was like, oh, I know.
When Bartlett got
Yeah, when Bartlett got shot, and Tommy Shalami was directing that, and I couldn't believe that Aaron Sorkin gave me that, because I don't know if all of you know, those of you who were with me yesterday or have heard the podcast, I started as an extra on the show. So for Aaron to give me that scene was like, whoa, okay, no pressure. So I worked on it, and I was like sobbing in the scene, and Tommy's like, okay, we're gonna pull it back just a little bit. But I think Tommy said on the podcast, I think that he said that what I did in the scene was brilliant. I don't quote me on that, but
choked on it.
Yeah, because I couldn't believe it. I was like, can I get that as my ringtone? 'Cause sometimes.
I think you probably can.
So yeah, that scene was also pretty cool.
Oh, do you have?
Oh, yeah. I have favorite scenes that I'm not in, actually, as a viewer.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who loves you not being in scenes.
Yeah,
She's like hater.
but I'm okay with it. I think I have a couple, two actually, that I'm thinking of at this moment. But the scene where President Bartlett is in the Oval Office with his priest, it's the death penalty episode with Karl Malden. And I found that a really profound exchange and experience, because it is the pull between the man and the office. And as a Catholic, not believing in the death penalty, but as the president representing the people who do, like that battle, I think is beautiful and profound. And watching a leader struggle with doing what's right, I hope that we always can, moving forward, have leaders who debate on a deep level and personal level but for real.
Starting now.
And I think that is something that we can all aspire to have and fight to have.
Yeah.
And I think that we deserve it as a nation.
Yeah.
And that's one
good.
scene that I love. And another episode that I really love is the episode, I think is it In Excelsis Deo, when Richard
Yes.
Toby leaves his business card. And that I have a lot of reasons to love that. I think it's just a brilliant episode. I think it's emotional and powerful. And again, I think it's that battle between Toby and the man, and Toby, the position, and the man wins in that one. And he does something that is personally right and maybe professionally not 100% on. But, and also just for me now working on behalf of veterans in the justice system and fighting for what's right for them, that has extra significance. And I just think Richard's performances in that is so stunningly beautiful and subtle and emotional. And I haven't watched all the episodes even, but I've watched that one several times, and I've watched the other one several times. And then there's one more that I was actually in. That I can do really fast.
She said
You're
one.
allowed.
Devika, you gotta follow
And I
this,
don't
by the
remember
way.
what episode it was, but there was a scene, and it was a Friday night, so it was super duper late. And I had no lines in the scene, so I was like, "Yay, Friday night! I can just kick back and show up and sit at the Roosevelt Room at the table." And Allison's got all the lines, and so I was just kicking back. And then Aaron came to the read through, the rehearsal for that, like the what do you call that anymore?
The read through,
Not
run
the
through,
read-
run
the
through.
blocking rehearsal.
Blocking.
And Aaron's like, God, it doesn't really make sense to have CJ say all this stuff. He goes, I think Karl should probably say this. And I'm like, ugh. So I'm like, oh. And of course I was panicked. And Allison looked at me and she's like, all right, go get in your costume, come to my trailer, we're gonna run it, you're gonna be fine. And which we did. And of course when Aaron came to the set, everybody was more nervous because it's Aaron Sorkin at the set, and you want to make sure you're getting his words exactly the way he wants them. And so I was like extra nervous that he was going to be there on Friday night at midnight, and then his wife had her baby that night, so he had to leave.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll just never forget that
So
night.
that was a November.
So Roxy was
yeah.
born that
Wow.
night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Did
Yeah,
you do
what
the
scene was it?
Yeah, we did the scene. He
But it
just
was
wasn't there.
you had more time.
I
he
didn't
was
have
there.
more time. I just was less nervous because he wasn't there.
Right.
But
And you got all
what
the
scene was
words?
it?
You don't know?
I don't remember the episode, but we're sitting in the Roosevelt Room, and she's eating a muffin, I think. CJ is, and
DJ and the muffin.
I can't remember.
I'm sorry.
What is my
Do you
favorite?
remember the monologue?
I can't believe you guys don't remember.
Like,
It's just a
CJ
muffin.
and
that guy.
Oh, can't get that?
It's not even that
And
big
a
a deal.
muffin.
It's a little scene. It's a small scene, and it's with some other people. And maybe you're in it, Duffy. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I truly don't remember.
And you
I was
weren't.
drunk at the time, and I don't remember any of
through
it.
the whole
Yeah.
force.
Through the whole
You were
7
not
seasons.
drunk at the
I
time.
wasn't.
Okay, so we're gonna move on from anyone else got memorable scenes?
Oh,
episodes?
Devika.
I was just gonna say, and this, I hope this doesn't sound trite, but literally, I think all of my favorite scenes were the ones that the whole cast was in. Like when we got to work with all of the lead actors, and when I was present with all of them and hearing them go back and forth, because there's not like one main memory that stands out to me because so much of it was brilliant. But I liked the way the entire cast interacted. And I liked that most of those actors came from very big theater backgrounds.
Yeah.
So to watch that process as an actor in the room with them, you're just going, oh my gosh, this is like brilliance at work, and watching them tweak things and watching them walk and talk and do these long monologues. And you're thinking, if I have one line and I mess up the one line, I will hurt myself.
Yeah.
So you're like this, oh my gosh, I have one line. Oh my gosh, come in at the right time. Don't trip the actor, just say your line. But to me, it was that banter between everybody on set and being there when Martin Sheen was there. And I don't know, you all probably know this, Martin Sheen is one of the most lovely, most generous people to work with.
Ever. Even as just a human,
Yeah.
not just work with. He's that in real life. Too.
And he was like that on set. Like, he wouldn't talk to just the lead actors. He would go talk to everybody.
Extras,
He'd talk to the
crew.
background.
He took everyone on a bus, and we played bingo and went to Vegas every
And
Thanksgiving.
treated us to Vegas and let us bring our,
$1,000
person.
bingo games.
Put us up in a hotel.
He's the best.
It was like, yeah. So I think, not to sound trite, because there were so many moments that I thought were great, and I would, like, Duffy, I'd have to go back and rewatch everything. But those moments when we were all together
It
are
was
the
great.
moments that really made me
Yeah.
go, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. I think the theater background helped. I mean, we all knew, the bigger names especially, all came from theater, and it was great just to be able to work as an ensemble. You knew how to basically pass the torch and let somebody else take the scene, bring the scene back to you. And with theater people, it's much easier to do that with. And everybody there had a big theater background.
Yeah.
But you need to handle the material, and I think that
Yeah.
the scripts were really written like plays. They
They
were written
were.
in that
'Cause
format
Aaron
of a
comes
play.
from the theater.
And also in theater, and you guys can correct me if you don't agree, but in theater, the writer, the playwright, and the words are very important to get them letter perfect. That's not really true on most television
No.
shows, at least not at the time that we were
It
doing
is
it.
with Aaron.
It
And
is
it
with
is
Aaron.
But with Aaron, it is like doing a play. You do it
You do it.
as written, and you do it letter perfect. And I think at the time we were the only show that had not only a script supervisor, but we had somebody whose job it was exclusively to make sure that each word
Word
was
was said.
correct.
Correct.
And that was, I think, the only show that was on at the time. Is that correct?
That was the only show I've ever worked on
Yeah.
that was that. Like if you said, and then started your dialogue, the scripts, they would come over and say, there's no
There's no
Or
I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah
how-
couldn't be yes, yes couldn't be yeah. It had to be, and
This,
all of us
that,
have
it all had
done
to be-
theater, so we respect the playwright, and so it wasn't really a problem for us. But sometimes you would trip up, and they would be like,
Yeah.
It's not.
And there were some, I'm not gonna say any names, but there were some big names that came on to do that show,
Yeah.
and they got hung up,
yeah.
and some of them did not last.
I think I said more yeahs on that show
Yeah.
than anybody. I would
Yeah.
pop in and go, yeah, yeah.
The one thing you did bring up,
Yeah.
the walk and talks, you never wanted to have the last line of the walk and talks, because if you got that wrong, it screwed everything up. Everybody always got one take to mess up. And I did mess up one
did.
time. I did mess up one time. You know, we went through this whole walk and talk, went into the Oval Office, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Mr. President. Oh, damn it!
And it's the worst if you have a small part. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
my part is pretty small, so I would have like one sentence or half a sentence at the end of a walk and talk. I'm like, I can really only be bad in this scene. Nothing
Yeah.
that I'm going to do is going to be exceptionally good, but if
Yeah.
I screw it up,
And it screws up so many people.
everybody.
Everybody.
And I just kept rehearsing, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
My
President.
grandmother
Yeah.
was like, "Can they get you out of that doorway?" Because I was always in a doorway. I was calling myself like the door whore by the end of it.
Door whore. But I remember asking Aaron one time, like, I remember him saying he writes to music. Like, he hears music because he was a musical theater major
Yes.
at Syracuse. So he was used to music, so he wrote to the
Lyrically.
sound.
Yeah.
Right, he wrote lyrically. And so his stuff has a flow
actually-
and a da-da-da-da.
At the table reads, you would watch him, and he would actually be conducting. And I mentioned this to him because I actually did an interview with Aaron from my theater company, and I said, "You actually were conducting." He goes, "I know," because it is a sympathy. It's
Oh, I
symphony.
never
If you
knew
think
that.
about it, it's all these things going on, and these little the background people are little instruments as well, and everything just creates this big symphony that happens in front of you.
Sorry.
Oh, please, I'm sorry.
No,
Well,
I
that
was
makes my
gonna.
job easy.
Well, I was gonna ask. That was gonna be my
Yeah.
question. Yes.
Or very hard. Or very, very hard, actually.
To live up to that, and you did.
I didn't know that Aaron conducted.
He did.
I didn't either, right?
He'd be sitting there being going,
That makes
I
sense.
never
Wow.
noticed that.
I never noticed it, but now thinking back, I can kind of remember a little something.
You were too busy in the door. Door whore.
So Snuffy, do you have a favorite scene or a memorable scene to have scored?
You know, the whole thing things I remember, sure, I remember the walk and talk in the pilot, because I looked at that and I said, well, how am I supposed to do this?
We all did.
Because I was doing that whole lead up to Rob and saying POTUS, and then we broke into this long piece, and it was fully orchestrated, and I did it with an orchestra, and that was, you know, for me, challenging was not what was as busy as the pieces that were very small, because the moments, once we got into the characters and we all knew who the characters were, the moments became very sensitive, and if you played anything, it could go right over the top. So my job became playing less and less and less through the moments as the characters got developed, and you know, it's a miracle I ever got through those things. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. I had no idea what I was doing, and I knew it was good work from everybody, but it was so fast for us. It was so fast.
Well, as my acting teacher said, talent will tell.
Who is that woman or man?
Jackie Maddox.
So a lot of us, I hear because of this and would say that the West Wing has changed our lives in some way. Maybe it's brought us into politics, or maybe like me, it's wanted us to do writing of our own, or maybe it's taught us something or brought us through tough times, or even given us relationships with people who we've got to know through watching it together. And so I was curious, what has the West Wing taught you, or how has it changed you, or what has it led to? I know that we're going to hear Melissa's story in more detail later, but I still want to hear it now, obviously. But yeah, what do any of you have any thoughts on that?
It's not going to match Melissa, so we might as well just let Melissa.
It can be a little thing too.
I was going to say, as an actress, it opened up a lot of doors. Even if, I just said yeah through the whole thing, it was almost like as going to Harvard would be. It was how ER was when it first came out, actors that had ER on their resume, because casting people look at your resume. And so after doing a lot of sitcom and then putting West Wing on there, they're like, oh, she's a real actress. So it started opening up a lot more doors. I started doing more dramatic stuff, dramas, 1 hour dramas. And then I think also just the experience, you wanted to be on excellent projects. Because as an actor, if you do a lot of bad things, or you're on TV shows that aren't very credible, they don't get, actors sometimes get typecast and then casting directors might not take them as seriously. But I think that's helped with just being able to stay in the game, the longevity, people going, oh, she was on the West Wing. It's like, oh, she went to Harvard. It literally felt like that for me.
I would say that for me, because of my story and how I ended up on the show, you just never know what's going to happen in your life. You never know when an opportunity is going to present itself. Yeah. Be prepared, stay prepared, and just go with the flow. I did not want to go to set that first day because I was like, I'm a real actress now. I just joined SAG 2 weeks ago. I don't want to go and be an extra. And look what happened. Yeah. So, yeah, just be open. It changed my life dramatically.
Yeah.
Well, tell how, because you're doing cool stuff.
Sidebar real quick. 9 years ago yesterday, I lost everything in a house fire. And so I had to change my direction of my life again. So now I'm a director and producer of documentaries and reality TV. Sorry, it's not West Wing.
But you just got an Emmy Award for your reality TV.
I was an associate producer on an A&E show called Born This Way, which is about 7 young adults with Down syndrome. Thank you. It's been kind of a game changer in the reality world, and I'm so proud to be on it. And yes, we won some Emmys, and I'm so proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say really what I appreciate the most about the West Wing was the ensemble of the cast. It really made me look at something that said, this is the way a set should be. Not could be, but it should be this way. We really were a family. And Martin, started that it starts from the top down, and he basically did that, as Devika sort of started to point out. He basically would introduce himself to everyone. We would be holding, because Martin was introducing himself to everyone. And it just taught you, this is no matter where you are, no matter what level you are at, we are a family. We are going to make this show work as a family. And I've gone on other sets, and it's not like that. And I was spoiled and didn't realize it. And so I think when I go on a set, I try and be, even though I'm, do you know who I'm not? I try and be as gracious as I can to everyone on a set, and I learned that from the West Wing. And everyone from, Allison and Brad and Richard and Rob and Janelle and everybody on this stage here, it was just like, we are just a family, and we are working on to make this scene work as a family. And that's something that I've taken with me since the days of the West Wing.
We are so lucky, and
Absolutely.
I think we all know it. We all know it.
It doesn't come along often.
And this is not my thing that I'm going to say, but I was in a car with Martin driving he was introducing the opening of the Institute of Peace at the University of San Diego, and I was going down with him for that. And we were just talking, and he said, I never went to college, but everyone says that those were the best years of their lives. And he said, but they wish that they had appreciated that at the time. Mm-hmm. And he said, West Wing, those were the best years of our lives, but we did appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's true.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think part of that was because of, I think Martin and John were like the mom and dad, and it
really
wasn't
were.
and it wasn't an accident. They talked about it, they decided, and they said we're going to show everybody how this is going to go down, and this is going to be a loving, egalitarian, respectful set, and it was.
Yeah, you dropped your egos at the door and just you did your job.
And they showed up on time for everything. Yep. They showed up with their lines learned. Like, they set the example for everybody else. And Dulé said this to me just recently, because he was 23 when we started, and he said that was such a great thing to see as a young actor, and I've brought that to every single set that I've gone on to, and I think the ripple effects of that are extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John Spencer always smelled good. We can always
John
smell his
Spencer
cologne.
always-
We're like, John's here.
You
We
always
can
smell
smell
like
him.
cigarettes. What do
But
you
somebody
Coffee. That's probably why you put on so much cologne, because I go, John's
Yeah.
here.
Somebody asked me yesterday what Brad smells like.
Wait, what?
What
So
Brad
did
smells
you guys know what Brad smells like? I said strawberries.
Cookies. She knows. Did you really? Oh, because he ate a lot of. Wait,
She
why?
was asking for a friend.
What do you say to that? I don't know.
You're like, I was never that close to him.
From my point of view, West Wing changed my life from the point of view of my career. It really legitimized me as a composer. Everybody thought before, well, he's an acoustic guitar guy and he does 30-something. But when I did West Wing, everybody said, whoa, this guy can really write. Now, if you listen to that theme you all sang, it's really a very simple little gospel piece. It's not grandiose and it's not big. It's orchestrated large. But that helped me inside myself. It wasn't that they thought I was legitimate, but I felt legitimate by being able to do it. And I felt like I belonged, finally. And it took me about 15 years to get there. Because I came from no schooling, no training, I had just joined SAG, It's the same thing. And so what it did for me was it gave me the confidence to do the work that Aaron said, well, you can do this. And I had no idea I could do it. But the other thing that was really important was I did 3 or 4 shows in 30 years that were family. And what you all are talking about is exactly what was the case with West Wing. I had it with the Wonder Years, I had it with 30-something, and then I had it with the West Wing, and I was never around you all. I'd see you all at rap parties, but Martin would always go, it's the music man. I mean, everybody.
Because he couldn't remember any of our names.
And maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't remember.
I was always
that
red.
Didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
The heart was there.
Yeah, it was a family. There's no question about it.
Yeah. It did. I think it validated all of us that, we made the right choices in our lives and in our careers, and I think that felt good for all of us, no matter where we went off after that. But yeah, it that Aaron Sorkin stamp of approval went really far, at least for me.
And I think the family piece of it, just from a personal standpoint, Duffy and I were talking about this last night. It was 7 years, and we all went through a lot of things during those times. Divorces, marriages, children, deaths. And everybody was there for everybody else during that time in ways that really only families can be. And that was pretty magical. And then for me, it changed my life less as an actor, because I think I acted more before West Wing than I did after. But but I also have done a lot of service work and advocacy always, and it gave me a platform, with a specific audience too, because now I live in DC and I do advocacy work, and pretty much everybody I go to meet with has watched The West Wing and has loved The West Wing. Almost everybody, and many of the people that are in the positions are there because they came to DC because they were inspired by The West Wing. And that's really fun, exciting, and that's, I'm sure, incredibly helpful
to me in the work that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good work.
Yes.
Yes. Stay for the next session, hear more about it. Okay, final question before I turn it over to these guys for extra questions. And I kind of feel like I have to ask this.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm nervous. no, it's fine. There's been a lot of talk recently about...
Here we go.
All right, now I'm not nervous. About a possible reboot or something of The West Wing.
Thank you, Josh Malina.
I'm skeptical that it would ever happen. But what do you guys think? Do you think it might? And how would you feel about it if it did?
I don't know what it would be about, to be quite honest. And I love the show. I love all the people. I love everybody on the stage. Because I've been asked it a lot of times. I just don't know what it could be about. I mean, maybe you guys would have an idea, but it can't be a prequel because we're older.
What?
I'm older.
It could be with other actors, though. It could be.
But if it's other actors, then it's not The West Wing. And if it's not taking place in the White House, then it's not The West Wing. And where would we be 10 years after the show?
Lobbying and consulting.
Can't we just do like a do-over and just pretend it's all us again?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that would have to be like, it was a dream, and then we wake up.
Then
But
we
I mean,
jump the
consulting
shark.
is a possibility, but then again, it's not really The West Wing.
Yeah.
It's the consultants. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't know really what the show would be about.
We'd watch you guys in anything, so...
I agree, and I'd love to do it. But I'm not saying I wouldn't want to have it done. I don't have a storyline for it. So maybe Aaron does. Who knows?
I don't know. Do you?
No, I mean, if it's happening, no one's called me, so I guess Ginger isn't going to be in any doorways for that show, but
They don't need
maybe
the popcorn.
sign a petition. No, just kidding. I mean, I heard that Aaron mentioned something about maybe like Sterling Brown playing the president, so that would be a whole new cast, but then that's not really... Yeah, so I mean, I would watch anything that Aaron writes. If he wrote the dictionary, I would watch and read that.
And Snuffy would score it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'd have to write a new theme, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Aaron actually about 9 months ago or something. We were shooting a documentary and Aaron was there, and he was in the middle of Molly's game, and he really didn't want to talk much about it. And what he did say was that, I'm not sure how I would write it that it would work now. He
Wow.
said I'd have to write it down the middle because any way you write it, 50% of the United States is going to turn you off.
Yeah.
So as politicized as we are now, and to be honest, he was in the middle of Molly's game, so he didn't really care about that question too much.
Right.
He was in the editing seat.
Wow.
I don't even know if it could be on network television. I don't know, because I don't think network would afford it. It's not really network anymore.
It was an expensive show.
It
to
was.
do. We used to notoriously run over, but they gave Aaron a lot of leeway because the show was such a hit. So he had a lot of, I don't know, I could see Aaron writing something along the lines because he really is political, and even if you ever just hear him speak anywhere, he's really brilliant. Like, he's very interesting, he's funny, he's witty, he's got views, and he gets them out quickly. So he's such an interesting person to just listen to. I think he's hilarious to listen to, and really smart, and his mind is always working. I don't know if he would revamp The West Wing, but I could see him doing something else along the lines of politics. Something that has to do with, definitely in this climate and what's going on. I could
sure he
see
has a
him.
lot to say.
He has a lot to say,
Yeah.
and I'm
Maybe that's what
sure
would be a consulting
it
type
will
of
come. Yeah, I'm sure on some level he might think about creating something, but I don't think the way it was.
I mean, I have no idea. I probably know less about it than any of you in this room. You probably know more about the possibility of it than I do. But I do think that what you were saying about Aaron's writing and what he cares about, I think at least what I got from The West Wing, and he said this, is that it was a love letter to public service. But to me, it's also about values and how policy is really a reflection of our values. It's not boring. It's how we put our values into action and how they affect people's lives. And I think he was able to convey that in a way that was emotionally evocative so we could connect to it. And I think that's a missing right now, that there is a delineation between what we feel and about policy, like it's dry, but it's not. That's what
affects our lives. And I think we need to make that emotional connection again, and so that we all know what our elected officials are doing on our behalf in our name, and how it affects our lives, our neighbors' lives, other countries, and have that connection to it and know that we're responsible for it. And I think he did that better than on this show, better than anyone I've ever seen ever in my life. And I think there's a huge value to that, and we could have that now and have that be socially important. I really do.
Well said.
That's a great argument. Okay, so I'm going to open this up for questions. I'm sure lots of you have them, so please keep them as short as you possibly can, and also please make sure that they're an actual question. We all want to tell these guys we love them.
We love you too.
Wait a second.
It would just take
Speak
too
for
long
yourself,
everyone to
Claire.
say that. There are a couple of roving mics, so please wait till the mic gets to you.
You said that, I'm going to completely go against. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to use my
I
little...
don't know what Brad smells like. No.
Darn it. I'm going to use my very small power being the host. So my real name is Tina Barrow, but I'm playing the host of this convention as a character, sort of, as a character named Jerry Spencer, and I named my character that as a tribute to John Spencer.
Nice.
Because
Good
he
tribute.
played, thank you, he plays Leo, who, as all of us know, is a recovering alcoholic, and I am a recovering alcoholic. So
Good for you.
thank you. I just got a year of sobriety in August.
Whoa, right.
And you know it's National Recovery Month, so
Yes, I do.
it is.
So step 3 is turn your will and life over to God, and that was very hard for me to understand. And so my sponsor was like, well, God can be whatever you want, it's your higher power. And so when I thought about it, turning my will over means giving over control. And so I made my higher power President Bartlett. And
Wow.
and so I didn't, you guys were talking about what the show means to you. I want to share to you my 3rd step prayer, which is what you say when you're struggling and you want to drink. So this is it. I'm shaking because it's I got very nervous very
Take your
suddenly.
time.
So this is it. To President Bartlett, show me how to get out of my own way so that I can be a better sober person and a woman of grace and dignity in the world today. Show me what's next. So I wanted to share that with you. And thank you for being part of a show that literally saved my life.
Continued
That's
success, though,
beautiful.
seriously.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, Tina. That's awesome.
I wanted to ask
Where are we?
Melissa, just if you had any interest in advocacy, or whether the West Wing was totally responsible for that. And then I wanted to ask the whole cast, how have you held on to the memories? Did you take anything from the set?
No.
Typical fan question.
No.
Did you take it?
No, I had been always I think it gave me a bigger platform for it and more access and more ability to be more effective and reach more people. But my parents have always been involved in public service. My dad's been in criminal justice my whole life, and he's been a judge. And
Is he available?
he was actually.
Too soon?
He'd actually be amazing, but he was on the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and he just retired December 31st. But yeah, I know.
He's got a good pension.
But I think that I think what it did was get me involved in politics for a while because. Well, no, that's not true. I was as a kid too. So no, it really.
Scratch off.
But I think it did help give me more avenues, more access, and people gave me more opportunities to use what I had. And I think the cast did too. We did a lot of things together.
Yeah.
We advocated and supported different organizations and causes. And I think there's, for me anyway, nothing more meaningful and fun than being with my friends and being of service to a good or fun cause, which I think it's always good and fun when you're with people you love. So.
Yep, amen. What did you steal?
Oh, I did steal a couple things. But with my super duper Catholic guilt, I had to tell everybody that I was stealing them. And I actually kid you not, I'm like, I'm gonna take these. I'm taking them home. And there are two things. One of them, I think it was from the Oval Office. It's a Jefferson bust.
Yep.
And it's, it weighs like nothing. It's like super light, but it looks heavy. And it was so, the neck broke off. I had to crazy glue it back on. But it's now, I recently moved into a house with wonderful two housemates that Duffy met because he stayed over last night at my new place.
Nothing happened.
He's like a brother.
Storyline.
know
You
of.
had to get past people.
And so it's in the library, and it's really a fun conversation piece, and then a bookend also from the Oval Office that's super heavy, actually.
Yeah.
In that one. So I stole those, and then a necklace. Not a fancy necklace, it just reminds me of my character.
Yeah.
And I would never wear it, actually. It's not my
Yeah.
style at all. It just reminds me of my character.
I think I only took my planner, and I also have the Catholic Guild, so I was like, can I take the planner that I write in every day? And they're like, yeah, whatever. But that burned in the fire, along with all my West Wing scripts, which is probably like the worst thing that burned. But I do still have my tag.
I have that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was so annoyed with myself that I didn't bring my badge yesterday. Like, what a minute. We could have walked around.
Well, mine's in a photo album. I put mine in a photo album.
You know what I did? Oh, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
I wasn't on the show the last 3 years. I think I did 1999 to 2003. So I didn't take anything because they still wanted it.
I'll give you my necklace if you want it.
Thank you. But you know what I do still have is every gift that we ever got as cast and recurring. They used to give us the best
Stuff.
cast gifts. So I still have my West Wing long white robe that doesn't fit me because it's a man size. I have a leather jacket. I have I have every jean jacket.
They
that
gave
says
us like
West Wing.
TVs
And,
and VCRs.
and he gave us Tag Heuer watches. The regular.
Purposely worn.
The regular cast got Rolexes. We got the Tag Heuer, but I wore mine all the time.
Can I just say something
Every
about that
gift.
Tag Heuer watch? When I went through my rubble, some MFer stole it out of, and left the case. How cool? Yeah, I got looted the same night. So, yeah. I was like, really? It's inscribed to me. Okay, sorry, that's a downer. Okay, Duffy, your turn.
And now we're like, and God blessed you with a bunch of Emmys.
Payback.
Though I'm Catholic, I had no guilt. No, I didn't. I took the communication director's sign because my dad was a big fan of he just recently passed, but he was a big fan, and so I brought that to him, and he was like so thrilled to have that from like CJ's office. I have both my tags, which have Larry's last name on it.
Ooh, mine too.
What's your last name?
What's that?
What was your last
I'm
name?
not telling. I'm
I
saving
feel like
that for
this is
something.
the place.
I'm saving that for something. I don't know what it is yet.
Isn't this the place to save it for? Hello?
This is the place.
This is the place.
You can't bring it up. It's like showing a gun on stage in Act 1. You got to use it, dude.
I'll think about it. I have all my scripts.
No, me too.
And which is great to have. I mean, because every once in a while I just pick one up and read one, but not the ones obviously that you're mentioning. But they're great because they have all the different colored pages when we change all the lines and stuff. So it's kind of fun. But that's really all I took. I just took a ton of memories. Is really what I did, and I just really enjoyed being on it. But I just have a couple things to just remind me of the show.
All those pages made great kindling for the fire, let me tell you.
All right, we got it. You lost everything. We got it.
You're making us so sad.
I'll give you some scripts.
I'll give you my jean jacket that says West Wing.
I know. I'll give you my leather jacket.
Oh, you guys.
Snuffy, did you steal anything, Snuffy? Or take anything? Sorry, not steal.
No, I didn't take anything. I was never down at the set much. But we got great gifts. I mean, I got a bicycle. I'm sure you guys.
We didn't get a bicycle.
I get no bike.
I got a bike.
I could
I
have
got a
rode that
West
thing
Wing
around
bicycle.
Warner
I got a
Brothers.
West Wing television.
Yeah. Mine
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh,
It was later. It was much
VCR.
later.
it was
than
the
that.
TV with the VCR.
Yeah.
The VCR.
Remember those?
I'm like, ooh, a VCR.
We were like, we got
I
TVs.
stupidly gave that to my brother.
They're out now anyway.
The one thing I still have is my Bartlett for President pin. It's about that big. And I have it up in my studio.
Another crowd-pleasing answer. Okay, next question.
William, what does...
Just Duffy is fine. William,
Okay.
I was like, who's William? I thought that was your name, actually.
I know. Yes,
right.
William, what can I answer?
Duffy, what does Peter smell like? I'm just kidding. But seriously...
Strawberries with a little bit... No.
But seriously, why do you think Ed and Larry spoke so well to the audience? Why do we love those two characters so much?
I don't know. I mean, I appreciate the response that we used to get and like sort of the internet following that we got. We were kind of, as Aaron put it, like the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the show.
Yeah.
And we just, John Spencer really paid us a great compliment one time. He just said, you guys just make the scenes happen when you're in them. And we are, as I said before, it's an orchestra, and we are just we are those instruments that just come in at the right time and make it happen at that time, as all of us. But, as being the ones that they always got confused, it was just kind of that little comic relief type of thing. So, but thank you. Thank you, all of you. I mean, I really appreciate the attention and the, liking our characters.
Good work, Ed.
I think.
Oh, Larry.
I gotta say, I have to look it up all the time. I can never remember.
So do I. Actually, it's from the pilot. The pilot actually would call me Larry in the pilot. Yeah.
Oh.
Good question.
The last name on the tag is...
Is Ed.
It's actually Tomasino. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was something I asked. I said I want, because I was married at the time. My wife was Italian, and I said, and my mom is actually Lebanese, and her maiden name was Thomas. And I said I want something either Tommaso or something that sounds something like that because I want to combine something that's Italian with Thomas, and we came up with Tomasino.
He let you choose?
That's a great
Nice.
The bad news is my question is about a scene none of you were in, but
we
you'll be able
hope
to
we
answer.
remember it.
You'll be able to answer because it's about the late, wonderful John Spencer. After his passing, in season 7, the episode about Leo's funeral and Requiem, the president and the senior staff and all were swapping stories about Leo, and they did this great riff on Leo telling tall tales to test how gullible you were, that he was on the Olympic luge team and a dance instructor and played baseball, etc. It was a great thing. It was hilarious, and it would have been a great character quirk, but we never saw the character Leo do that. And since it aired, I wondered, was that an invention by the writers, or was that something John Spencer did in real life and that was an homage to him? I could be completely wrong.
I don't remember. I mean, John is also from New Jersey, where I am from. Thank you for Jersey. He's a straight shooter. He's not a BSer, and like you knew exactly where you stood with him. So I don't see him embellishing stories, but I could be wrong, and maybe that was just our Jersey thing. Do you guys remember?
No, I mean, John and I would have a lot of talks outside the dressing rooms and stuff because I was actually born in Jersey, but I'm more of a New Yorker. But yeah, I was born in Atlantic City. But he was a pretty straight shooter. He was nervous about a lot of things. I mean, never really gave that type of persona. So maybe that was something Aaron and/or the other writers came up with.
Well, that was season 7 where Aaron wasn't.
Oh, that's right. Aaron wasn't even there.
So
you're right. I apologize.
So they probably just made it up.
Yeah.
Well, the real answer is none of us know.
None of us know. Yeah.
But I don't think any of us remember him. I don't remember him. The years I was on there, I don't remember John telling a lot of tall tales.
No.
He was a really good storyteller,
Yeah.
though. But I think a charismatic personality and a great storyteller.
And he smelled good, which is more important than any.
Better than Brad, apparently, since no one can remember. Okay, I think we have time for 2 more questions, one of which is over there.
We could do this all weekend.
Who else? Oh, hey.
So you kind of all...
It's not on, but don't worry about it. I can hear you.
I can project.
Yeah.
You kind of all picked up on this, but I'm going to kind of push it further. So they say on the West Wing Weekly all the time about how cast as an orchestra, Toby Viomo, blah, 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 blah. Like, what would you say your characters respectively would be? And then, Snuffy, how would you allocate the
Oh.
Wait, what?
What? That was a
I think we need more
difficult
cowbell.
Yeah.
So I'll be the cowbell. That's all I got. That's the only instrument I know.
What instrument do you think your character would be in Snuffy?
If you,
How would I use
You went to acting school,
Really?
didn't you? You did.
If you were an instrument, what would you be?
I love that question.
Oh, the question was, what instrument would we be?
Our characters.
Our characters
Yeah,
be.
because Aaron writes in an orchestral type of way. What instrument do we think we were? In
And
that?
what does Snuffy think? Which is probably, more.
I think we should ask
I
what
think
Snuffy
we should
thinks
just
first.
defer
Yeah,
to Snuffy.
I'm passing. I'm giving
don't-
I'm giving
it's
up
not
my
a bad
time to
question.
Snuffy Walden.
Yeah.
I
I'd hire a great orchestrator and have them lay out the parts for everyone to play. I wouldn't know how to do that. You know, what I tried to do most of the time was to stay out of the way of all the other orchestration. And they were lyrical, and all the characters and the way they worked seamlessly together. My job was really to get out of the way and be the glue and just kind of to set a bed for the acting, because it was so great. So I wouldn't be able to do anything with it. I think it was perfect like it was. So.
And again, we talked about the ensemble. Sometimes even Ed and Larry they'd take the stage at one point. So we were a bigger instrument, let's just say, at that time. I like that.
I think I was a cymbal.
I was gonna say we could be spoon. We could be spoons.
Like a bell.
Devika, like
Yeah.
I like the bongo thing, though.
Yeah.
We were bongos, is what we were, yeah.
I don't think I was a bongo. I think I
What
was
would
a
be a really quiet percussion instrument? Yeah, because I think my character was I don't know. Do you agree?
Sweet timpani drum.
And what is the sound of a door whore? Asking for a friend.
That's definitely a bongo.
I got nothing.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, one last question.
Oh.
I'm not going to pick. I can't do this. Don't make me do this. Someone else
What do you got
has
right
to
here?
choose.
Go
Hi.
ahead. The person with the mic.
Okay. This question is for Devika and Kim. I really like the smaller characters.
Oh, thank goodness.
God
bless you.
In the episodes. So as like Bonnie and Ginger, team of the communications department, I felt like the show really encompassed that whole kind of flow of that department. So do you guys have a favorite like scene you did together, or kind of a moment in that realm of the show?
Well, we used to call each other the salt and pepper of the White House. And she gets this wrong every time, but I was Peppa and she was Salt, and Toby was our Spinderella. And so we talked about that in like one of the DVD extras, I believe,
we did an outtake.
interviewed together. Maybe our Moose conversation
forgot
when
about
Sam, we had to do a walk and talk with Rob and talk about Moose in Helsinki, and he's like, I love a good cartoon character. And I was like, I know how you do, you know. And we were scared, obviously, not to mess up, because it's just like us three walking with a camera and Rob. That would probably be one of my favorites with you.
I think so too. If I can remember any of it.
Did we do any other scenes together in a doorway? Or
We were always kind of tag teaming when we were in the office, so it was always that. Yeah, it was always
in
that
New
stuff.
Jersey, we encourage it. And where were you? You were from Indiana or something?
Yeah.
I remember that.
I was so proud.
I remember that scene. That was fun.
Oh, yes. Tempting. Very bad luck. Clark Johnson directed that. Yeah. That was fun.
Oh, right. And when we were in the Oval Office drinking wine, I champagne, everybody. And he's like, no, don't tempt fate. Can we just drink?
Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah,
No, that
we
was
had
that
fun
in that.
moments.
It wasn't the Oval. Yeah, but it was in that weird room with the
It was
murals.
the other where they. Oh yeah, it wasn't the Oval. Anyway, we couldn't be in the Oval Office.
So the salt and pepper.
Yeah, we were salt and pepper. And I don't think Richard Schiff ever knew who Spinderella was. He's like, who is that?
You would be surprised at what Richard Schiff knows.
He was like, you're Spinderella. He's like,
Whatever.
He was just like his character, too. He was like this.
You won the lottery.
I did tell the story last night about In Excelsis Deo when we were working insane hours. We were over 18, 19 hours at this point. And I had to tell him that the DC police were on the phone. And it was him, Allison, and Rob, and they were cutting through the Roosevelt room. He had the giggles so bad that
He
night.
he was
Richard.
When he got the giggles, it was over.
It was over. We did that scene dozens of times. He
was the
giggled
worst.
like a schoolgirl, and it was one of my favorite moments
Yeah.
of all time.
He of every actor on that show, he was the worst when he got. You couldn't stop.
We didn't want him to. We didn't.
Every
because
scene.
we were happy when he was laughing. We're
Scene
like,
after scene after scene after scene, he was cracking up.
That's so funny. I don't remember that at
Oh
all.
my god, all the time.
And it was like my second or third episode, so I thought it was my fault, and I was like, "Oh, I'm fired now," because he keeps laughing at what I say. I'm like, "The DC police are on the phone." He's like, on the floor laughing. I had one job.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a doorway. Well, I did actually.
You were stepping out of your comfort zone.
That's all I got. That's all.
Well, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to wrap up. Is there anything that you're desperate to say that you wish you'd had time to say?
We love you guys
Yes.
so much. We never thought that this would happen. I don't think so many years later. Come on. No, thank you.
And we just want to say thank you so much for coming to our little West Wing crazy idea thing that we're doing here. We love having you here. We love you guys. We love the show. We're very honored that you came. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys for organizing it. Let's do a reboot.